Hey guys, how is everybody? Look at that. 3 people in the chat already. Merlin, Charlie, Ricky, how you doing? Eric, how are ya? Good to see you guys. Oh. Ricky, I got to hear about your match with Dave. I wasn't able to watch it. Hey, Mr. Les, how are you? Joe, thanks for tuning in. Got a lot to talk about tonight, right? I don't know, maybe a little. It's kind of quiet in the overpowered community right now. Let me pull up my notes. Hey, John, how are you? So who's hit Whamageddon already? Ricky curb stomped Dave. Really? How bad was it, Ricky? Or in your opinion, I guess, how good was it? Yeah, I know you won, buddy. Dave posted that you took him out, but how bad did you take him out? Was it like 3 hands? And what did Dave play? I should have at least tuned in for that part, right? Curb stomped. Hey, Doug, how are you? Thanks for tuning in. I'm all by myself tonight. Everybody else had plans, I guess. Yes, Raven, I agree. Please tell me you hit him with the Reaper. Maybe that'll help us get the Reaper banned. Ban the Reaper. Hey, Lauren, how are you? Lauren, oh my gosh. Lawrence, how you doing, buddy? I do want to hear that part at least, Ricky. Did you get him with the Reaper? Hey, Ben, how are you? And Doug says, I wouldn't call it a curb stomp, but he did win 2 times in 1 game. How do you do that, Doug? Ricky, you got to let me know how you manage that. How do you get 2 wins out of 1 game? I let him take back a mistake, so then we ended up going to the power pack after that. Whoa. Okay. Merlin said he had him in 3 hands, but then backtracked a move to keep playing to see how it would go, after which they played until power pack. Okay. Carpe, how are you? They played the Moriarty, Victory, Robin, build, but with Spartan to tank Reaper instead of his usual Exception. Looks cold in the podcast. Sean, it is so cold in Columbus. Diego, how are you, buddy? I think it's like 20 degrees now. I think yesterday our high was 9. It is going to warm up later this week. Thursday it's supposed to hit 50. So I haven't gone to do an extended forecast to see what February looks like yet. But I'm hoping it's a little warmer for our Brazilian friends. I don't know if they'll be able to play in this minus 32 degrees weather. Below 32 degrees. Diego, I hope you're getting in some practice down home because you're going to need it. Things are looking like competition's coming. Carpe says, it's been so cold I've hardly wanted to get up in the mornings. Hey, Dark Clown, how are you, Andrew? How good. Thanks for joining us tonight, or joining me. Well, everybody in the chat, so that's us. Hey, James, how are you? Michigan sucks too. We're getting the cold out early this year for nationals. I hope that's what it is. Raven Project. I was in the air during last week's show, but appreciate being name checked. Yes, I'll be there. Got room and time off, and will commit to handling events for those not in the LRG games. Thank you, John. We so appreciate that. There's going to be some guys wanting to play some side events, I'm sure. And Carpe says, supposedly we're due for 40s and 50s next week. Yes, I'm definitely looking forward to that. Oh, Diego says, I'm a snow person. Will be the perfect weather for me. Diego, you're always surprising me. Merlin says, that list of players in the Nationals is basically all of the current players. Yeah, I'm starting to wonder who didn't get an invite. Who's going to show up for the last chance qualifier? All right, Doug, you don't need to be showing off. 58 degrees. Ugh. Embrace the cold. The cold is your friend. No, the cold is not my friend. Diego. You're my friend, but not the cold. I don't like it. I would rather be hot and sweaty anytime than cold. But it is part of Ohio, so we'll take it. I came into the store yesterday afternoon, and I got a lot of things done. We still had a fairly busy day. There was cheerleading and volleyball going on, so the store still had some traffic in it. Charlie says Spencer still needs to qualify. Okay, I think there's going to be a handful of guys from here in Columbus too. And no, Ray's going to make sure he's here to qualify. James says, I'm going to bust out a starter and try to get in the qualifier. Well, we're only taking 8 from the last chance qualifier. But James, you might have a chance, even with the starter deck, if only 8 guys show up. Carpe, yeah, I feel like if you had a positive win rate in the regional, you got in. Lawrence, Spencer can do it. Yes, he can. He can definitely do it. Yeah, I was kind of surprised by how many names were on that list. And Lawrence, you're on there twice, so there's even one more person who is going to be added to that list, right? Erlen says, Felipe and I have decided that the finals will come down to our Land That Time Forgot decks. I'll tell you who wins, but that would be a spoiler. Ricky says, what is the last chance qualifier format? The same as the regionals, Ricky. The only exception is if you've already qualified for the Nats, you cannot play in the last chance qualifier. Swiss. Yes. After Swiss, we'll take the top 8, and they are the ones who get in to the Nats. Merlin, give me you guys' counter deck to make it interesting. Lawrence, Spencer may have my second spot. There you go. I think Spencer can earn it, though. How many games did he win here in Columbus? 3? I think he went. Did he go 3 and 4? I can't remember now. 2 and 5 or 3 and 4. So we got confidence in him. Oh, has Felipe decided to play Land That Time Forgot? I'd be surprised, but I guess I wouldn't necessarily be surprised. Maybe. Yes, 7 rounds, depending on how many guys show up. Charlie says he won 3 in Legacy. Good job, Spencer. I hope you're grilling him hard, Charlie, on how to play the modern game. Any heroes, no battle sites. It does take a bit to get used to, don't it? Carpe, excited to see what's up Friday night for non-last chance. Charlie says Spencer beat Corey, John Keffer, and Stefan. That's crazy. Didn't Felipe play land in Seattle? Seattle? He wasn't. Oh, Felipe did. That's right. Okay. Maybe I'm confused. You're right. I was thinking of Diego, and he does clearly say Felipe and I. Felipe did play Land Before Time in Seattle. I don't know if he plans to play it again or if he's trying something new. It definitely will be interesting. Anytime you build a deck and you give up 3 points for that home base, that's interesting. We'll see. Sometimes once you play a deck, word gets out on how to play against it too. Diego says, yes, Felipe did play that in Seattle. James says, I know I got no chance in last chance, but I hope to get some draft in. I've never had the people to give it a chance. Yeah, come on down, James. We're going to play a lot of games, so we'll do some, I guess we'll do some drafting. We might run one sealed event. I'm not sure. But we'll do something good. Maybe we'll play Friday night. We'll play a big event, modern event, and we'll just ban the Reaper. There'll be no Reaper allowed in Columbus on Friday nights. Thinking about doing that for our Friday night events as it is here in Columbus. It's just not fun when that Reaper takes away 27, 28, 29 points of venture on your cards that are placed. That card is just so bad. Not only does it make us veteran players not want to play with it, it's so hard to get a new guy interested in the game when that Reaper comes across and hits him so hard. A sealed event would be you buy 6 packs and build whatever you can out of those packs. Sealed events, I think, are more fun than drafting, but a lot of people like drafting. So it's basically the same, only you don't get to take anything from the other players. Carpe says, I've got 4 different decks I've never taken into a tournament. Got to narrow it down by February. You got time. We're playing twice a week in Columbus, Saturdays occasionally. We could probably get guys here on Sunday afternoons. So if you want to come over, just throw it in the Discord. Yeah, Raven, I think it's 6 for sealed. James says, I've never done either, but sealed sounds funner. I think sealed's a lot more fun. But drafting, I don't know. I had a good experience in Florida on that Friday night draft, so it could be fun too. Man, I don't know what is up with my settings tonight, but seem to be having a slight issue. What the heck is this? There we go. No, that ain't what I wanted. Oh well. There we go. All right, sorry, I'm getting distracted. Merlin says, but Doug, when he was faced with player comments about Reaper, Dave says the Reaper is fun and anyone who doesn't like it is wrong and hasn't considered all the nuances, so that must be true. Well, if the rules guru says that the Reaper is fun, it must be fun. I must be playing it all wrong then. I don't enjoy having Reaper played against me, and I don't enjoy playing Reaper against somebody else. It's overpowered. Oh, it's an overpowered card and overpowered. I don't really think the Skybound set is going to make that much of a difference, and I just hate designing characters with the intent of stopping one card. But we shall see how things turn out. I just don't like it. Carpe says, my first seal gave me a Zeus foil stack, just saying. And that's one of the reasons I like sealed better than drafting. If you open a foil stack, you get to keep it. So that definitely makes it a little bit better for me. I just don't think it's right that we take somebody gets a foil stack and they have to throw it in there and let somebody else have it. But whatever. John says sealed is easier because you only have to work with what you pulled. Draft has an element of early strategy because you want to keep stuff away from anyone else. Yep. And Merlin, the game is called Overpower for sure. James is on this laser ban the Reaper thing. Let's all laser ban the Reaper on all our copies. If they see it in every deck, they have to take notice. Well, I think they've already taken notice. They just don't want to ban it. They don't want to have a ban list, which we already have one card on the ban list, right? Because it was printed with an inherent ability that it wasn't supposed to have. Merlin says, yes, that's the main problem. Deck designs must take that one card into account. Yeah, and it's no fun. You're telling me that in order for me to be competitive, I have to play characters that can withstand the Reaper. When I was it my one deck, I had Leonidas and Deja on there, who each had a Reaper stopper, but it was a good deck still, but who wants to play characters just because they can stop the Reaper? 2 cards on the ban list already. Kali is banned too. Is Kali on the ban list? Do we even have an actual ban list? Everyone says Kali's banned, but I don't know. I've never seen an actual ban list. And Kali was only available in the Essentials packs, right? I'm looking now for an actual ban list. There's a resource page. Wonder what's on this resource page. What if there's a ban list on here? No, rankings, a card library, community decks, events, how to play, learn to play, comprehensive rulebook, tournament guide, glossary, sanctioned tournament guide, some newsletters. I'm not seeing a ban list, character list, resources. I don't know where that ban list is. Does anybody? You got a link to a ban list for me? Kali is banned in Modern. It's legal in Legacy. Yeah, I think that might just be word of mouth. I don't even have a rules list. That's coming Thursday, I hear, says James. Merlin says, yeah, but the Essentials packs are legal and available. Carpe says, I think they're called out in the ongoing errata document. And Stefan says, ban Spawn. Now, you can't do that because then you'd make McFarlane mad and he won't let us have Spawn for any future sets. Carpe says, but yeah, they really need an explicit ban list. Joe says, rulebook says if there is a ban list, it will be posted online. Right, so I don't think there is a ban list, Joe. Right? Merlin says it's all of 2 cards. Count of Monte Cristo with Inherent and Kali. Is Kali called out in one of the rule books as being banned? The Traveling Goof, how are you? Thanks for joining us tonight. And thank you for all that work that you put in this last week. That was awesome seeing all that information. And we're going to be talking about your list of the top 8 decks here shortly. Right now, we're just having a nice conversation about a ban list. I don't see a ban list online, so I'm thinking there really isn't a ban list, right? And why would Kali be banned in the Modern format? I know when we were doing the playtest tournament in Boston a year ago, it was banned for that Friday night. But, and I know nobody's played it, but I don't know. There we go. John says Cristo is on the errata document, but not Kali. Thank you so much, John. Traveling Goose says Thomas did 99% of the work. I just played around with a few of his Excel sheets. Well, then, thank you to you and to Thomas. Yeah, Thomas, I didn't get to finish that podcast when he was on with the GOAT. But he was talking about a lot of that stuff. And it's there's a lot of information there. And I think I said something last week about somebody saying that the meta was kind of stale right now, and I totally disagree. There are so many decks that we haven't tried. The meta, when you think about it, we only had 4 major Modern tournaments all year. And the meta was different pretty much every time. Not drastically different, but it was different. There wasn't a lot of Wukong and Wicked Witch in Seattle. I don't know. Was there a lot in Columbus? Honestly, the Columbus event's kind of a blur in my mind. You guys will have to help me out there. Did Sun Wukong and Wicked Witch show up on a lot of decks out there? But the shift meta it's popular right now, and Ricky did really, really well with it. Um, I think it's going to change again for the Nats. That's all I'm going to say. Right now, we will talk about that. It'll keep coming up in our conversation tonight, I'm sure. Goof says only 24 of the 43 characters even made it in the top 8 in the regional. There's still a ton more gas to this set. Totally agree. Totally agree. And I think the shift meta is going to change because of cards like Jane Porter, remove all cards in play, placed and in play. Who else has that? Hercules has one that can get rid of one. You got the event that'll get rid of one. You got to give up +3 to venture for that hand to do it, but that's okay. I don't think the shift meta is going to... I think there's going to be a lot of anti-shift for the Nats. I could be wrong, but it will be interesting to see if the shift meta continues for Nats. I think a lot of guys are already looking for ways to not play the shift meta and play against it and how to beat it. I'm looking for ways to beat it without playing it, even though I kind of played it with Sun Wukong at PAX, and I enjoyed playing Sun Wukong, and I would play him again. I played him with King Arthur and Jane Porter, and I was shifting into Jane Porter's avoid an attack, opponent discard a card. Then I got to play Heavy as the Head to do the same thing. So that was always fun, but it always wasn't enough to win the games. So I'm kind of looking at other things, as I'm sure everybody else is. Carpe says, Leo seems like the obvious response to Reaper meta, and which the Woo Witch feels like a different deck built around an anchor for a team defense. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see at the Nats how many Woo Witch decks show up. John says, I think that Cali isn't banned, but the essential cards are only playable because they have equivalents in ERB, and Cali does not. John, I think you're onto something there. Carpe says, it's possible we see a Baker Street meta since Sherlock has offensive negates and a Reaper defense. I don't know. Sherlock's tough. He's a good character at 19 points. He's very playable. He just has no venture. But we shall see. What is anti-shift? You going to bring Van Helsing and Jane both frontline? Can still get negated. Double shift is king. Yeah, Van Helsing's and Jane. I wouldn't be surprised to see them both on the front line. But there are ways, and we shall see. And Dark Clown, I know you're already looking at something. Traveling Goof says, double shift is very good, but it has its weaknesses too. And Merlin says, Sherlock has an 8. That's plenty of venture. I would definitely disagree with that. There are plenty of characters who have 8 and who can bring more venture to the table than Sherlock. Actually, probably every one of them except maybe Raw, who only has a 6, which is still more than Sherlock has for venture. Goose says, I think more people are starting to think about how to take it down as opposed to how to join the shift. That's an interesting thought there, Goof. I'm not sure which way people are leaning. I know here in Columbus, the lean is that way. How do we take it down as to, opposed to how do we join it? But I wouldn't be surprised. Phil Keffer, how are you, buddy? Did I hear there might be new cards before the Nats? Depends on what you mean by new cards. There may be some new promos before the Nats. They're throwing around some ideas of maybe making some promos available at Nats. If that were to happen, they would be announced well in advance so that you could build a deck with them and get the cards when you get here. Maybe get them beforehand. But since we're at the middle of December and nothing has officially been announced, I kind of think maybe the new cards before the Nats is not going to happen. We shall see. I know there's one in particular that they really want to do, but I don't know that it's going to happen. We shall see. Carpe say, I will say 2 of my ideas are Woo Witch with a particular tech against Woo Witch. Okay. It can't beat them, join them contingency plan. That's always good to have a contingency plan. Phil, I do know that they said Skybound will not be available before the Nats. And that's like the totality of it. Not only will it not be legal for Nats, it just won't be available. So we're not going to have Skybound by the end of February. And I'm kind of curious when they're going to make any kind of announcement about when it might be available, because they're not even soliciting it to the distributors so that the distributors can solicit it to us so that retail stores can order it. Usually by now we would have already ordered an item. Bandai, we order everything probably 6 to 8 months in advance of release date. Let's see, Topps in the trading card game, not the gaming portion, but in the trading card, it is about 2 months in advance that it gets solicited, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. Magic is well in advance, 3 or 4 months. Let's see, what else? Star Wars, a couple months in advance. Pokemon, months in advance. Yu-Gi-Oh! Definitely months in advance, probably 4 months in advance. So it's time. We should be ordering it from our distributors, and we have not got any kind of solicitation. Joe said that they're creating some promotional materials to send to stores so that we can start hanging posters and such, but I have not received anything about that yet. And when One Piece first was announced, we had a poster hanging in our store probably 4 months, maybe even 6 months before it released. And it just said coming in, what year was that, 2023? So, you don't have to have a release date on your posters. But hopefully we'll get something from Skybound soon. Goof says, I do think that every day will need to be tested against a Woo Witch to see if it's going to be worth its salt. Yes. Charlie says, Dave said in Discord, Cali was 100% banned in Modern and could become unbanned in the future. Every deck, not every day, right, Goof? Hey, Michael, how are you? What did I miss? Go back over everything. You haven't missed a whole lot. We're just debating whether Cali is banned because there is no online ban list that we've seen. I wonder why Cali is banned. Is it just because she wasn't in the packs? Hey, did anybody get their uncut sheets? I saw something online where I think Martin got his. Did anybody else get them? I have not seen anything. I've not seen a tracking number or anything on that. All right. I would like it's broken. That's why. Oh, really? Let's apply that same logic to the Grim Reaper. I want to give a shout out to my buddy Robin, who made this hoodie for me. It's got his Gamer's Edge logo on it here. This has been really nice to have in this cold Ohio weather lately. So Robin, if you're watching or if you tune in later and watch, thank you so much. Joe says, I got a tracking number for mine 2 minutes ago. Okay. James says, mine coming Thursday. I hear it's just rule books and sheets, but no cards. Yep. Raven says LRG felt the cannot concede ability was too strong for the current meta. Really? But the Grim Reaper's not, huh? Bah humbug. All right, let me check my email real quick and see if I have a tracking number. Uh-oh, look at that. I got a lot here. Supernatural registration. Nope, no tracking number for me. Well, if you got a tracking number, good for you. I hope you guys get it really soon. I can't wait to see all these uncut sheets get posted, so we know what's coming. Further to that, if you negate it, you auto lose the round. How do you auto lose the round? Merlin, can you explain that one to me a little bit? I'm not sure what that means. If you negate it, you lose the round. Okay. I'm sure you're typing right now to explain that to me so that my feeble mind can understand exactly how you would auto lose the round. Cannot concede, I'll negate that. Does that mean I'm conceding? By negating, I cannot concede? That doesn't make sense to me. If you negate Callie, you concede the round. Huh. That doesn't make sense to me at all. I negated a card like it was never played. Oh, well. James says, just check my email and it's coming Tuesday. That's tomorrow. I hope that's what you mean. That would be great. Still haven't got my tracking number, but excited to see it. Hey, I want to give a shout out to my buddy Vlad, who came down last Friday and played. I know he's looking forward to his uncut sheet that he won at Origins last year. So he'll be thrilled to know that it'll be here soon. We played a lot of games last Friday night, tried a lot of different things. And guys are definitely, at least in Columbus, not looking at just playing the Woo Witch. There's a lot of stuff being built here in Columbus to combat the Woo Witch, or to just be a good deck. I think we still got some time to change the meta before Skybound comes out. With only 4 events all year, it's really hard. You know, when you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh, for instance, there are Yu-Gi-Oh events every weekend being played at local stores, and that's not happening with Overpower yet. And then they have all of their big events, the regionals and such. So the meta can change in Yu-Gi-Oh, but it can also be established for a long time because it's being played constantly. And plug this laptop in. Overpower is not being played enough. All right, Carver and Goof's got Callie's game text. Play on your turn or when opponent concedes. Opponent may not concede. This card may be placed. If opponent negates this card, they immediately concede the battle. Ah, okay. Well, it's right on the card. That makes more sense. Thank you, Goof. I appreciate that. But if I was already conceding and I negate it, oh my gosh. All right. Interesting. What if you put it out there, you play a couple cards, and then on your next turn you go ahead and negate it? I don't know. I've never played Callie. I never played any heroes. Well, I haven't played any heroes in 30 years, 25 years. So it's interesting. I just don't understand why somebody would make a card like that. Same with the Grim Reaper. Why are you making those cards? Weird. Yep, Merlin, sorry. Yeah, I didn't know what was on the card. I don't even think I've ever seen the card. Well, I'm sure I've seen it because I've opened a couple essentials, but I never paid any attention to it. I guess I should pay more attention. It is a pure LRG creation. Wow. That is so weird that they would make that card. Yeah, I didn't remember it being in the old game, that's for sure. They basically supercharged the Savage Land, right? But why? I don't know. Maybe one day they'll explain it to us in a way we can understand, right? I don't get it. Has anybody got an update on the Boston Cthulhu playmats? We got uncut sheets on the way from the Kickstarter. How about Boston playmats? I'd heard from Tyler that it might actually show up in Columbus. Ours might show up today, but they didn't. I don't have a tracking number or anything. He just said that he thought we might have them today. Has anybody heard anything about that? I haven't seen John in the chat. Maybe when he joins us, he'll have some idea what's going on with those mats. Are they just mailing them out individually to everybody? Wow. It's like Martin said, they sure do love to spend money on shipping. James, someone had a really fun deck idea. Yeah, I guess. But it's not much fun to be played against. And I wonder if you could turn it around on them where they were wishing they hadn't played it. There's a lot of stuff going on that I just don't understand. But I can't wait to see the Cthulhu mat. I know Jessica and Nor each got one, and somebody's trying to get Jessica's off of her already. So we shall see. All right, going back through my notes here. Let's see. Kickstarter Part 2. We covered that. Oh, talk about the extra shipping charges and everything coming out of the Kickstarter. The fulfillment of that is being done by Cardio, believe it or not. And I heard that there is some major changes at Cardio recently. And the big one was that Chris, who was the owner of Cardio, supposedly the investors came in and told him he wasn't doing a very good job, and they replaced him. So if that's true, maybe we'll see some updates at Cardio that will make fulfillment a lot better. I know James had sent me some tournament packs or prize packs, and he gave it expedited shipping. And this was on last Sunday. I got an email on Monday saying that the label was printed, and then it just sat there all week. And I messaged James on Saturday, or might have even been yesterday, and said, what's going on with these prize packs? They're just sitting there. And he said, I'll look into it. Before he could even get back to me, there was an update on it, and the package showed up at, I think it was Indianapolis over the weekend. So maybe tomorrow or Wednesday we'll actually have our prize packs that we can start handing out again to everybody. We ran out last week. We didn't have enough for participation. We had 8 guys show up, and I only had 4 prize packs to hand out. So hopefully my prize packs show up tomorrow, because we are going to try and play again tomorrow. I don't know if we scheduled an actual tournament tomorrow, or if we're just having a deck building session to see what we can come up with and play some games on the side. We definitely want to get ready for the Nats. We only have 2.5 months. But we shall see. James says, I'd rather them find a better company. Why keep going with the one that just keeps dropping the ball? Understand, James. Yep. But also, if you change management, maybe you can fix that company. So if that is true, we may be in for a better company just by a few changes here and there. It really shouldn't be all that difficult. I know Universus uses them, and we don't have a problem getting our Universus tournament kits. We had one lost kit, and it was actually our fault. It was delivered to the store. We just misplaced it. It wasn't because it never showed up. The Bo Jackson uses cardio, and man, they ship so well, and their customer service on the Bo Jackson side has been tremendous. They sent me an email saying, me personally, not as the store, but that I'd ordered too much Bo Jackson product, and they were only allowing individuals 3 hobby boxes, and I'd already ordered that, so they were going to refund one of my orders. And I just emailed them back and said, man, it's been so long, I don't remember what I've got ordered. Can you tell me what's coming and what exactly is being refunded? 2 hours later, they replied and said, this is everything that you've ordered, and this is the order that we're refunding. And it was great. So I don't know why the Bo Jackson side is working so good and everything else isn't. And Charlie says, probably stuck in a contract with them. Well, probably for a little while. But yeah, James, I think Overpower just not getting Overpower respect. That's kind of what it looks like, because Bo Jackson fulfillment is going well, and I never have any problems with Universus. Who else is running it? We got events through them for a lot of games, but we don't have too much problem with that. Although with Cardio, they have version 1.0 and version 2.0, and if a game is in version 2.0, you can't run it through version 1.0. You actually, it's crazy. You actually have to have 2 different logins to access the 1.0 and the 2.0. Everyone is eventually going to be moved into the 2.0. Overpower is still in the 1.0. Not because they want to be in the 1.0. They're just not, Cardio isn't ready to move them over to the 2.0 from what I understand. So, James Muggsy is in the Bo Jackson set. Was he in this new one? No, he was in the alpha update. He had a card. And I probably got a couple laying around somewhere, so I'll see if maybe I can get you one. Do we have any Overpower sales figures? Are they even close to those levels? No. Overpower isn't anywhere near selling near as much as Bo Jackson. But Overpower is distributed through the distributors mostly. They're not distributing product through Cardio, just the tournament kits and the Kickstarter fulfillment. I believe that's the way it's going to be going forward too. A lot of the distributors will be soliciting the Skybound set. I know GTS will have it, ACD will have it. They both have ERB right now that you can, I assume they still have it in stock. I haven't tried to order lately, but they're there. I believe they still have product. You can't put in an order with Cardio. Stores can't order it direct from Cardio. So if Cardio can get their act together, I think everything will be okay. I just don't understand why some games are given a better treatment. All right, let's see. Let's talk about Pierre's list. I'm gonna pull up. Maybe I wanted to pull it up. Where is his list? All the characters that were made it to the top 8. Well, there it is. I like how you broke it down, Goof. It's 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 point characters each one. You'll notice that Victory Harbin's on there twice. because she's 18 points on the front line, 20 in reserve, and somebody else. Oh, Morgan Le Fay's on there twice. Morgan Le Fay made it once in reserve and made it once on the front line. But Victory Harbin never made it as a reserve character, which is kind of surprising to me, but maybe because the intellect decks are just not that strong and they needed to back up Sherlock Holmes with an 8 character. I don't know. Interesting. Watson was in reserve, or Watson was on 10 decks. It doesn't say if it's frontline or reserve. I'm assuming 80% of them at least was probably in reserve. Jane Porter was on 5 decks. Angry Mob Middle Ages made it on 1. Mr. Hyde did not make it into the top 8 at all. I wonder if he was even on a deck in the regional. I love the Mr. Hyde character. I have tried and tried and tried to make him playable. I love the pairing him with John Carter, playing Barsoom. You can draw a card when you raise their grids, but I don't think I would play it in a regional. Definitely won't be playing them in the Nats, just because I don't want Jane Porter making me remove both of those cards once I get them in play, or one of them that's in play and one of them that's placed, which is what Van Helsing has, right? I'm kind of scared. So I won't be playing Mr. Hyde in the Nats. Jessica will be happy to hear that. I tried to make Hyde playable, and she kept telling me to quit wasting my time, and I have. Billy the Kid, 16 times he made it into the top 8. That's 50%. So that's pretty impressive. Invisible Man did not make it into the top 8 at all. I don't know. What do you think? Can we get Invisible Man into the top 8 during the Nats? That would be interesting. Korak only made it in the top 8 one time. And I think Korak's one of those characters that at first everyone thought he was going to be good. Then they realized without that shift in play, he's kind of hard to defend and he can go down pretty quick, as most max 6 characters are. The Angry Mob, the Industrial Age, the only character who keeps Tars Tarkas from being the worst character in the game, according to Andrew, right? He did not make it in the top 8, neither did Anubis. I'm kind of surprised Anubis didn't make it into the top 8. I know he wasn't on a whole lot of decks, but he's not a bad character. And I think it's just because Brute Force is struggling. If you look at Hercules, he never even made it into the top 8. And if you're going to play Anubis, it's probably going to be with Hercules. Carson of Venus made it twice. Carson is also a 19-pointer when he's in reserve, and he made it twice as a reserve character. Twice on the front line, twice as a reserve. Way to go, Carson. I love the Carson of Venus character. I have not really played him on a competitive deck yet, but I've got one sitting to the side ready to be built. Deja Thoris, 5 times. And that's another one. I bet all 5 of those she was on the front line. But I think she's also a pretty good reserve character. Throw it back there to make your 22-point character legal and bring her up with the draw 3 or the avoid for the team. So I bet at all 5 of those she was in reserve, or on the front line, though. Headless Horseman, he made it on 1 deck, and that was Sean. And I believe, where was that? That was at PAX, right? Joan of Arc made it in the top 8 5 times. Lancelot did not make it at all, although Andrew and I both tried really hard. Mina Harker, 3 times. Robin Hood, 5 times. One of those was mine. Sheriff of Nottingham did not make it. Again, he struggles with the Brute Force character. The Mummy made it 3 times. I wonder how many of those were in Seattle. Time Traveler did not make it, which is not surprising at all. 18 points, max 6 character, kind of hard to do. Victory Harbin, as I said, made it one time on the front line. I love that Victory Harbin character. I think she's got some great specials. She's got 18 points. I think she's good. There's Carson again. John Carter of Mars did not make it. Another brute force character. Just can't do it. Morgan once. Poseidon 0 times. Somebody's got to make a good Poseidon deck. Sherlock 5 times. Tarzan once. Was that Nor? I think that was Nor's deck, right? The Wicked Witch. What is that? I can't. Is that 11 times? Yeah, she's pretty powerful for 19 points. She should have been a 20-point character. Angry Mob Modern Age did not make it. Captain Nemo made it 4 times. No one of those was Nor. Top 4 in Philadelphia. The Count of Monte Cristo twice. King Arthur 4 times. One of those was me. Morgan Le Fay 1 time in reserve. Professor Moriarty only made it 1 time, and that was Sean. Raw only made it 1 time, and that was Adam at PAX. I looked at Raw for a deck this week. Didn't like the outcome, so I set him aside. I did not put him in the Mr. Hyde stack, which is I'm not even going to try anymore. But he was not jumping out at me. Tars Tarkas 0 times, and I totally agree with that. For 20 points, Tars Tarkas is hard to put onto a combat deck, even though he's a 6 brute force. So to put a 20-point max 6 character on a brute force deck makes him really, really hard to play. 3 Musketeers twice. Van Helsing 0. I think Van Helsing is an overlooked character. But again, there's so many combat characters that are good. That's why he didn't make it. Victory Harbin in reserve 0 times. Zorro 8 times. Leonidas 14 times. Merlin twice. I'm kind of surprised Merlin only made it twice. But again, he's for 21 points. The best thing you get is his negate. You do have the card that allows you to look at your opponent's hand, peek into the hand. You don't get to see the whole hand, but you get to choose power cards, specials, or something else. I can't remember. So I kind of like Merlin, but he's hard to pair with King Arthur and Lancelot, or you could put him with Morgan Le Fay. Morgan is 19 points, and he's 21, so you definitely have some points there that you could work with, but he only made it twice. Cthulhu 1 time. That was Thomas. Good job, Thomas. He played him in reserve. Dracula didn't make it. Hercules didn't make it. 22 points, even though they're an 8 stat. Hard at 22 points, because you got to play a max 6 character to make them legal just about. You could play... No, you can't even play... Yeah, you got to play at least 1 max 6 character to make them legal, because you can't play 2 17s, because only 1 17-point character is a 7. Wow. Sun Wukong made it 8 times. He's a very good character. When we first play tested him, he was powerful, too powerful, and they dropped him in points and reworked him a little bit. They made him a very good character. He's very, very strong. Zeus made it twice, and that's kind of surprising because it's so hard to defend Zeus, but somebody did very well. One deck out in Seattle, the very first one, and then Chris Rice did it in Canada. Getting back to Sun Wukong, just real quick, I've seen some guys say that Sun Wukong, they want to place out the first hand and concede that first hand just so that the 11 counts toward venture and the avoid allows you to draw a card. I think that is a very, very bad plan. That 11 is still 11 points of venture. You should not concede with an 11 placed because they're going to defend it. And if they can't, you got 11 points towards the 20 already. You don't need to concede to make it count toward venture. And also, it gives the opponent another hand to draw cards to be able to defend that 11. If you can look over there and not see any defense for that 11, why concede one mission just so the next hand it'll count toward venture, and then you play it, and they play fairy protection out of their hand or something, and you still don't get it. You still don't get those venture points. So I don't like that plan, that strategy. I would never do it. I know somebody was talking, I think Vlad brought it up and we were discussing it. I don't like it. I don't think that is a good thing to do. All right, getting back to the chat because I wasn't watching while I was reading all that. Merlin says, you're 45 minutes in. When are you going to talk about the most played characters? I just did. Sorry, Merlin. James says, love this transparency on the business side. Thank you. You're so welcome. The Goof says, at some point I'll get the whole deck breakdown out there too so we can all see who made it in reserve, who played together. That would be awesome. Thank you, Goof. Merlin says, Hyde is great. How can I say this, Sean? I don't think there's a character in the set that you don't think is great. So, Ricky played Watson on the front line. That's right. I do remember that. That was great. Carpe, Watson in reserve for a lot of Baker Street passive venture, probably. Yeah, but Ricky did play him on the front line and went undefeated. Carpe, yeah, Watson in the front, especially in the shift deck, is killer. Carpe, I was playing with Wukong, Watson, Leo, and reserve Billy at one point. Merlin says, Invisible Man never saw any use at all this season. Okay. Merlin, is that one character who is not great in your opinion? I think you would agree. Invisible Man and Time Traveler are not great. I don't know. Traveling Goof says, Hyde packs a big punch. I think a lot of the brute force characters carry a lot of venture, but just don't have the speed outside of Cthulhu's 3. Probably a good point. I think the bigger issue is there's no team defense out of brute force characters except for Mina. If you play her as a max 6 brute force, she does have an offensive negate, and Hercules has the 7 that he can defend the team with. John Carter has a teammate avoid, which means you're going to attack him and not let him use that. Tars Tarkus with John Carter would get you the 6 or less for the entire team, but nobody's figured out a way to make that work yet. Carpe says, I think that's a big statement on how Billy is so much better than the other 17s overall. Merlin says it was a mistake to make Billy a 17-point character. He was perfect at 18. Yeah, I think even at 18 he'd be playable, but not near as much. Merlin says they had a good design where all 16 and 17s were max 6. Really? You think 17 should be max 6 also? I don't know. Anubis feels like a character who just needs to be cracked, says Carpe. Again, brute force. Goof says, I think Tars and Mob Industrial will see some more play in the next set. Universe will be a much bigger thing. I hope you're right. We shall see about that. Oh, sorry, my chat just jumped on me. What can I say? I'm a trailblazer, says Merlin. Yes, sir. I know. I love your enthusiasm. Don't get me wrong. I just think Hyde is a great character. I love playing Mr. Hyde. The problem was I was having a very, very hard time winning with Mr. Hyde. And Merlin, with the guys that you play test with, I would think you'd have a hard time winning with it too, against Derek and Tyler and Howard. Maybe Marcel, if you guys all got together and played, I would be curious to see if you could make Mr. Hyde on a winning deck. Not necessarily a dominant deck, but one that just wins once in a while. I was having a hard time beating Jessica. As a matter of fact, I don't think Mr. Hyde ever beat Jessica. I struggled against Corey, and I struggled against Nor. I wasn't 50% against any of those three players. Sorry, Jessica. I didn't mean you as a guy. I meant you as a general. Carpe says, one of these sets is sure to give Merlin a wacky transmorph gratification target. Man, it would have to be a huge target because that card does not get you any venture. Merlin says, someone should be 23 points. Yep, maybe. I think he's very playable. I don't think he's broken. I think he's just very powerful. We'll see how he pairs when we get Skybound. Traveling Goose says, there already are so many. Andy and I are brainstorming a few of them last night. Good. Yeah, there's so much more to build in this. I sent Corey, Jessica, and Nor a list of 5 or 6 decks last night. And you're right. I think there's a lot. I love it. I don't know. When Skybound gets here, I'm still going to be wanting to look at ERB. We shall see. I know they're pretty excited about Skybound and what's in there, and they being LRG. And I'm not excited about the characters. I like some of the things that I saw when I was playtesting. I will be playing Skybound characters for sure, but I'm having so much fun with the ERBs that I'm not ready to give them up. Marlon says, I can't believe they tried dropping his threat. It's risky to concede just to fuel Sun Wukong's cars because it can be hard to come back from that. Yes, I agree, Sean, and I don't understand why guys are even thinking that way. It also, like I said, gives your opponent a chance to draw something that can defend that 11. And now you've conceded and your 11 got defended, so you still don't get the venture. It's one of those things where you take the bonus but don't make a plan of it. Good point, Goof. I like the way you said that. Ricky says, I like to do that only if I'll have placing advantage next turn. Maybe you're going to have a big placing advantage, but I would play out the hand and try to win it with the 11 not counting toward venture. And the Goof says, unless you're running 3 Musketeers and Frontline Billy, then that'd be your deck's hook. Ricky says, place and run for Sun Wukong. Yeah, I knew what you meant there, buddy. I don't think it's a good strategy. But Merlin says, I have a competitive Hyde deck that's in consideration for events. Granted, it's not centered around Hyde. He's just on it. Well, yes. I don't think you can center a deck around Hyde, being a max 6. I'm interested. All right, if you bring it to Nats, we'll take a look at it. Maybe you can bring it with you to Nats, and even if you don't play it at Nats, we'll take a look at it. Carpe says, I think Wukong is fine at 22, but which should be 20. Yep, I would agree with that. 8s against a reserve are no joke. He's a brawler and works well with Cthulhu, says the Goof. You know what? Cthulhu is one character I have not paired him with. I will have to look at that, Goof. But 8s against a reserve is not always possible. You know why? Because a lot of times that character in reserve is a 20-point character. It's a 19-point character. It's not always guys like Mr. Hyde, Billy, and Dr. Watson. When they are back there, it is awesome hitting them with an 8. Yes. But like Jessica and her decks that she plays, there's not a 17 or a 16-point character back there. So makes it harder. Her characters, she likes to play Morgan Le Fay in reserve at 20 points. Now it's just a 4. So when it's just a 4, it's not all that great. The last time I played Mr. Hyde against her, none of her characters were 16 or 17 points. And it's like, well, that kind of hurts Mr. Hyde because now I don't have an 8 to throw at you. Merlin says, which shouldn't be a bloody 8? I don't know. I kind of like her as an 8. maybe if she was a 7 at 19 points and still have Harness the Wind, I don't have a problem with her being an 8. Why don't you think she should be an 8? Skittle Daddy, how are you, buddy? I've got a nice Hercules Hyde deck myself. You know, that's who I tried pairing him with. I had John Carter on there, and it just didn't play so well for me. So if you pulled one off, good for you. I would like to see who you paired with him. And if you want to tell me now, tell us all in the chat. I'm listening. Carpe says, yeah, with more frontline Jane, Hyde has very few good options to throw the 8. Yeah, and you definitely don't want to throw that 8 on Jane. Get that avoid one attack and discard a card. Spoiler, 25 to 32 reserves were 17 points or less. That I believe. You need that 16 or 17 point character. Well, how many of those were Billy? What'd I say? He was in reserve how many times? Or he was on how many decks? 16. 16 decks. Billy was in probably reserve. Did Chris Rice play him on the front line with Zeus? I can't remember. But a lot of those 25 was Billy the Kid. And a whole bunch of others were Dr. Watson. So Merlin says, you really think Witch of the West is an 8 energy equal in power to Zeus and Ra? I mean, it just depends on how they're written in a story, right? The Wicked Witch in her universe was the most powerful witch on the planet, right? In that world. Although she was susceptible to water. Who would have thought? Then Poseidon, god of earthquakes in the sea, is a max 7. Yeah, I mean, we could definitely argue that Poseidon should be an 8. I would really love to get Poseidon on a deck, but there you go. Thank you, Goof. If Superman can be a max 7. Wow. DC really screwed themselves. Skittle Daddy says he's got Herc, Hyde, Leo, and Billy. My first hybrid deck. I like it a lot. Very nice balance for my play style. Interesting. Billy in reserve. I'm assuming because Hyde's got too much to be back there. And Billy is so good from reserve. That's interesting. It's definitely split. You could go 5s, maybe even 6s. You could make combat. Are you raising Hyde with his card? I like it. I'd like to see how that plays. But I agree. The Wicked Witch probably should not be an 8. I think somebody just got carried away with their own creation and thought they were doing something good. Carpe says, I was definitely spitballing a wacky Poseidon deck the other night. That doesn't surprise me that you did that, Carpe. And Skittle says, yep, Billy in reserve. Hey, Joey, how are you? What don't you like about the new Skybound characters? There is nothing against the new Skybound characters. I am just really happy with the ERB characters. Not an Invincible fan, not a Walking Dead fan. The other one, what's it, Birthright characters? Never read the Birthright. So there's nothing to draw me into the Skybound set other than the specials that the characters have. And I think that is the way to play because you don't have any emotional attachment to them. And let me tell you, there are some characters I can't wait to play out of Skybound. But I am emotionally attached to the ERB characters. I love the pulp characters. I love the ERB characters. Tarzan, Carson, John Carter. So that's the only thing I mean by that. I am not talking negative about Skybound at all. You guys are going to love it. There's a lot of good playable characters in Skybound. If you're a Walking Dead fan, you're absolutely going to love the Walking Dead characters. If you're an Image fan or an Invincible fan, you're going to absolutely love the Invincible characters. So, didn't mean to sound like there was anything bad about the Skybound set. It's going to rock. You guys are going to love it. I just wish I was able to play my ERB characters a little bit longer. The first deck that I build will have 3 Skybound and 1 ERB character in it. As long as the Skybound characters aren't drastically changed from the playtest characters that we had. Merlin says Poseidon's another one that gets short shift, but I think if a home base that allows redraws for mill options turn up, he'll rule. Oh, I hate that idea. No. No. You can't mill cards and then draw one yourself. That's nasty. Ricky says Poseidon's inheritance should be Poseidon's damage instantly KOs Wicked Witch. Yes. Traveling Goose says I'm cooking up a Poseidon deck. I'm trying to test a Zeus deck and a brute force one. I'm done with combat for a while. I understand that thinking, Goof. Just let me throw this into the mix. Remember, you got to build the best deck you can for the Nats, and if it's combat, you have to build a combat deck. I'm not saying combat's the best deck to build. Right now, the meta is very heavy in combat, and there's a reason for that. So if you come up with something that can beat those combat decks, we were talking about this the other night, Friday night. You can build a deck to beat the shifts, but then it struggles against the combat decks. So you got to find a balance, one that can play both equally, play against both equally, and you hope to win more than you lose. So don't totally roll out combat. We've only got 2.5 months, remember? Skittle Daddy says, yes, I'm definitely raising Hyde. Good. I love it. I just love the Hyde character. Merlin says the Skybound Combat promo deck has a major stupid flaw. I haven't looked. I'm really more looking forward to the Top Cow stuff myself, says Joey. Supposedly the Top Cow was supposed to be in playtest mode already. As far as I know, it's not. I don't plan to playtest the Top Cow stuff. Taking a break from playtesting. No reason other than I'm busy. And I'm not a fan of the Top Cow. And Jessica, I didn't want to playtest the Invincible stuff, but Jessica talked me into it because she's such a big Invincible fan. And then her and Nor joined Corey and I and AJ. And actually, now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure Top Cow is about to go into playtesting really soon, but it has not for sure because somebody contacted me about it and said they've been asked to playtest it. So, James says, what I've seen of Walking Dead makes me disappointed. I think when you see it all, you'll be a little happier. I don't think there's anything major in the Walking Dead characters that I can think of. Although Michonne is pretty awesome. Carpe says, yeah, I think every new player needs to know to pull out the events and universe cards. Ricky says, haha, the combat deck comes with that event. What did I miss? Oh, Merlin. It comes with the event. Cards with a combat icon do not count toward venture. What? They put that in the combat deck? Oh, they just wanted to get that event out there. All right. That's bad. Wow. How did I overlook that? Sorry, Sean. That is bad. I guess eventually we'll have all 4 of them, right? Energy, combat, brute force, intellect will all have an event that says they don't count toward venture. That event is almost as bad as the events we had where the icons can't be used, can't be played, or can't be used to attack. You're still going to venture very, very high. when you have that event in play. That's crazy that they put that in there. Is that going to change? Will they have time to change that before it goes to printing? Probably. Yeah, slightly counterintuitive. Yeah, quite a bit. Goof says, yikes, LRG. At least their starter decks are grouped by themes this time. Yeah, I was a little disappointed with those first starter decks. Carpe says, although honestly, with so many iconic Walking Dead characters being combat, where did they put the combat event? No, not just weird, Andy. It is kind of a major screw up. Not as bad as printing a Grim Reaper that we need to ban. Merlin says the Invincible promo deck has the no energy to venture event, but it works with that deck. And Carpe says we have all four. The energy event is an Invincible. Thank you. I think Jessica has one of those decks. I don't know if she's opened them. I have one that I have left sealed. And I probably will just keep it sealed because I will. I got to talk to the guys and see if they're going to bring some of them to the Nats. Wonder if we could get some kind of event Friday night using those decks. All right, make a note of that, Doug. All right, I'm going to make a note of that. Invincible decks or Nats. Got it. Okay. I misspelled Invincible. I can't. All right. There we go. All right. Note has been made. I will talk to Joe about that. Don't fear the Reaper. I don't fear the Reaper, but it sure does suck playing against the Reaper when you can't defend it. James says, I could go on for way too long about the Walking Dead lacking. Oh, man, is it that bad? I know the Walking Dead has a lot of synergy in it. If you pair two of them up, you get a lot of small bonuses, or you get small bonuses. And that's the one thing that I really didn't like about the Walking Dead characters. I think it'll make it hard for them to be played a set when Top Cow comes out. I don't think you're going to carry over two Walking Dead characters and play with two Top Cow characters. I could be wrong, and we shall see. But I think when you have that synergy, it kind of makes them not playable. Kind of like John Carter and Tars Tarkas. You know, you get that one bonus if you have them on the same team, but nobody ever plays John Carter with Tars Tarkas. Nobody plays John Carter or Tars Tarkas. I don't know. How could we make them guys playable? I just don't see it. Yep. There goes the goof. Yep. Camelot characters were that way too. Yep, they were, but you don't play them together too often. I did at PAX. I had King Arthur and Lancelot in reserve to make his six a team avoid. Corey did it. He played Merlin and King Arthur in one, I think the Seattle regional, where he top aided, but it just doesn't happen a whole lot. Carpe says, so far I've really liked what I've seen of The Walking Dead. Worth keeping in mind that we haven't seen any huge threat characters from them. I don't think there was any in the set. I could be misremembering, but The Walking Dead characters don't have huge threat levels. James says, feels like it's just Invincible and Walking Dead, just okay. We'll do this too. Just both properties don't seem to be going the same respect. Sean says, if the synergy is just a perk, then it will be fine. If the synergy is necessary for them to work, then it'll fall flat. Michonne, for instance, is only an 8 if she pairs with 2 specific characters, which makes her a max 7 character after Skybound comes out, right? I mean, you're not going to carry those 2 characters over and just add one Top Cow character to reserve to make her playable. We shall see. Joey says the new cards got a lot more diverse playability than used in when used in Legacy, I think the Legacy cards are still way more playable. If you mixed them, I don't think you'll get too many of the modern characters very often. And if you look at the NAOL events, it wasn't like 3 modern characters and 1 Legacy character. It was the other way around most of the time, if not all the time. Goose says pairing with 2 other characters is really limiting. That I don't like. It can be hard enough to pair with 1. Yep, 100% agree with that. And that was in my report at the end of the playtesting. There's too much synergy. It's kind of cool. It was cool in ERB, but it didn't make those characters. You have to play those characters together. King Arthur saw a whole lot of play without Merlin, Morgan Le Fay, or Lancelot. So I don't like the way The Walking Dead kind of makes you want to have to play them together to play them. Carpe says, honestly, I think Michonne shouldn't be an easy 8 rank. 19 threat 8s are something we don't need many of. Yeah, but if you give her an 8 outright, she's not going to be 19 threat, that's for sure. Merlin said she's still immensely playable as a max 7. Absolutely. Absolutely. She will be a max 6 character, played as a max 6 character. I don't see anyone mixing her with the other 2 characters to get her to an 8 in the long run. Maybe when Skybound comes out, that'll happen a lot. Hey, Game Master, how are you? Glad you could join us. Yeah, I've gone a little long tonight, which surprises me since I'm all by myself. I thought I'd run out of steam long before now, but the chat just keeps going. Carpe says, it seems more like a cost for getting 8 on her. Yes, absolutely. But she's a max 7 character. You're just not going to play those 2 characters with her, I don't think. But we'll have to see when the cards come out. Game Master says, don't forget to hit the like button and consider subscribing if you're liking the content. Thank you, Game Master. That is one thing I have never got used to saying. But please, hit the like button tonight. I appreciate it. Freak Show says, I do love the Legacy cards more overall. Yep, playing with emotion. Yeah, I agree, Joey. Joey, are you coming to the Nats? Going to try that Mustang out here again? If you are, you and I are going to run it, take a trip down to the gas station just so I can ride in it. I'll put some gas in your car and you take me to the gas station. I love a good, fast Mustang. AJ, you made it. How are you, buddy? You coming tomorrow night? Or tomorrow afternoon? You don't ever get to come at night because you get up so early. Carpe says, Michonne, Rick, Alexandria, Leonidas might be pretty obnoxious, though. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. James says, we know there are going to be more than 1 Skybound series. Do we know if it's just 2 or more? I had not heard that there was a second Skybound series, but it wouldn't surprise me. Birthright confirmed. Corey really liked what they did with Birthright. Yes. Lord God King, I think it was LRG. No, Lord. The big character from Birthright is very good. Sounds good, Joey. I hope you make it. And then Michael from Birthright and another one. I can't remember who the third one was because, like I said, I've never read Birthright. But Corey loved them both. I can't speak too much because they haven't spoiled much of this set yet. So I'm going to cut it back just a little and say LG, Lord God King, LGK, or LKG, whatever that character's called, is very powerful. You're going to build some strong decks with him. Michael is very powerful. I don't think they'll ever be on the same deck. Both are very good. You're going to like all the heavy hitters from Invincible. They're all good. They're all playable. They're all fun. The Goose says, so chat, is there a character missing from the top 8 list that we think is going to make it in the Nats? God King Lore. Thank you, Andy. John says, is Savage Dragon mixed in with Skybound or its own thing? Savage Dragon will be with the Top Cow, I believe. It is not, Savage Dragon is not in Skybound. And AJ, you will be here tomorrow. Good, good. Can't wait. There's so much going on. James says, yeah, said they were doing one now, and Vince was at the one level, but later people like him and Alan the Alien will have new versions. Okay. Alan the Alien, if they didn't change much on him, is very fun to play. You're going to love him. And Carpe said, I heard Savage Dragon's coming to Top Cow. Yep. Top Cow. Nor built a playtest deck with Alan on it that was very, very tough to play against, but it was fun. James says, Nemo and Poseidon will mill for the win in Nats. That's my prediction. Hey, Gregory, how are you, buddy? Glad you could join us. You know, Nemo and Poseidon together, 20 and 19 points. That could happen, but it'd be hard because Nemo is a 6 combat and a 7 intellect. Poseidon is 7 energy and 7 brute force, but I bet they'd be fun. Nemo is fun to play. And I built a Nemo deck after Nor built one, and he took his to PAX. I probably should have taken mine to PAX too, but I didn't want to play a version of his deck. Yeah, Doug, I agree. Alan is super good. I can't wait to see what he ends up at. Nemo, Poseidon on Barsoom. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, that could happen. I had them with Anubis and the Angry Mob. Okay. Deja for good measure with Nemo, Poseidon, and Deja. Again, though, I love that, except there's, because of the shift mechanic, I think a lot of guys are going to be removing cards that a remainder of game. So it's going to be hard to do. We shall see. Nemo, Poseidon, Mob, and Anubis. I like it, James. Guys, and I know we just got a couple of latecomers, but I'm going to have to wrap it up. I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight. It's been a lot of fun. We made it almost an hour and a half. Game Mesh says, how does the return power card special with Alan work? If it's placed on him, can he return the power cards that a teammate placed? I'll have to look into that one. But we'll continue this conversation next week. Thanks for tuning in. I hate to leave so quickly, but I got to go. Talk to you soon. Thanks.